Fight fans, welcome to our pre-show for Nemesis 14. We are live here at Bally Sports Live in the center of Ballpark Village. You might notice we have a little bit of a new look here. Jordan Dowdy and Adam Sella wasn't able to make it for this go-round. They will be back, but for right now, I am joined by Chris Denman.
That's right.
And my new Adam Sella, my kickboxing expert, is Karen Simoncelli. And so we'll be bringing it to you this time go-around. We got a lot of great fights to talk about. Let's talk about our first one. We have Herman Rich versus Marcus Nelson. Chris, what do you think about Herman?
I'd say he's definitely out of Wise Warriors gym, and he's the first fight on the card.
That's 100% correct.
That's right, man. No, it's exciting. So you get these guys. You got Herman and Marcus going together. You have Marcus coming out of Honey Badger Martial Arts in Rolla. Have you ever fought a honey badger from Rolla?
Actually, the funny thing is, so the Honey Badger's head coach is Jason Powell, which we'll actually talk about later. He's in the main event.
Yes.
And I've trained with him many times. I actually consider him a friend.
There it
is. So technically, yes.
Tough as nails. Yeah. So this would be a good one, kicking things off. I think the most exciting part of this, you could have so many different types of styles, or you could even have different weights. You kick this one off with featherweights at Ballpark Village next to Busch Stadium. Are you kidding me? I don't know if these guys have these kind of fights in Rolla or wherever the other dude's from, but you're doing this in downtown St. Louis, massive crowd to kick things off, and maybe we'll get some dynamite out of the gate.
And it's our second time here, and as you noticed last time, great production. It was amazing, unbelievable. It went better even than I thought it would go, so hopefully the second time's even better than that.
Yeah, you look at it and you're excited for your friends, you're excited for NFA as a group, you're excited for the local fighters and everyone else is participating, you're excited for the fans to see this big production, and then they bring this in for a second time. Boom.
Well, and Herman Rich, so he's trained by – so the kind of the funny thing about this is Herman Rich is trained by Ray Norris, and the reason why that'll be funny is – I'll get to that in a bit.
Please.
But before we get there, Karen, how do you feel about Marcus?
So we don't know too much about this kid, Marcus. He is in jiu-jitsu. We don't know really the kind of adversity that maybe Herman Rich has come against, where it might be similar to what Marcus is going to bring in the ring. So when you don't have a lot of information about a fighter, it kind of leaves it up in the air for the other opponent. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Herman Rich, who has been more, we know a little bit more about his background, how he's going to go ahead and approach this fight when you don't have a lot of information front. And I always think it's best to not worry too much about your fighter in front of you and kind of just go with your flow and do what you do best. So it's kind of nice actually sometimes when we don't know, but I'm really excited to see. I don't know too much about the Honey Badger gym. Sounds intimidating when you're talking about honey and thinking about honey badgers. So I'm really interested to always see someone that's fresh to our scene and be able to see what they're going to bring. So jiu-jitsu is kind of a tricky one. We'll see, because you don't know. They could have a nice belt on them. They could have a lot of experience, but you don't know what their thought process is when they get in those sticky predicaments.
So here I am. I'm gonna blow you with some insider.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. So Marcus Nelson is actually the Honey Badgers amateur team captain.
Nice. So
they reached out. They wanted him to be challenged. So even though it's his debut, they have a lot of stock in him, and there's a lot of hype following him. So we got Herman Rich, who journeyman himself, a lot of experience, should be a great fight. Marcus is also a blue belt, but Herman's going to have that edge and experience because, as you know, when you train, you can be amazing in the gym, but sometimes when those lights kick on, it can be a little bit harder. So hopefully, like you said, we'll find out a lot about Marcus.
So this is a debut for Marcus. So as much as you are comfortable in your gym, and a lot of people think, they can step in that cage, you don't know what's going to happen when you close those cage doors and you get that first punch or that first round. Then we'll kind of see if we can make it to the second round. Then we're going to see a little bit more about how far Marcus can go and what he's going to bring once he's acclimated to that cage.
Yeah, if I was Herman, I'd probably keep the pressure on him.
Yeah.
Just to see
don't
what
let
the
him get comfortable.
Absolutely,
Yep.
100%. Our next fight after that is going to be Dylan Green versus Curtis Smith. What do you think about Dylan?
Let's check out Dylan Green and Curtis Smith. It's fun to be part of this. So this second fight, kickboxing. I know one person sitting at the table is super excited about that. Karen.
I am always excited about it.
I'm excited too. I can't tell you the last time I saw kickboxing live. I think maybe at a Bellator event where they did the split event at another arena here in town. This is fun. You get to see MMA out of the gate, jumping into kickboxing. Now, I believe both these guys are more MMA fighters that are wanting to jump in and do some kickboxing.
Yeah.
That could be interesting, and wonder if it's going to be something they stick with or if it's a one-time thing kind of to get it out.
It is
Get it out of the system, right?
Yeah, it is a smart route to go when you're trying to sharpen up your striking skills, to step away and try and not focus too much on the groundwork where people maybe are comfortable. And between both of these, I don't know too much about the Dylan, but Curtis Smith, he's coming out of St. Charles MMA here. So when you look at St. Charles MMA, at least in this community, they have a very distinct type of striking coming in, and they're going to be very aggressive. So Mike Rogers has a great team up there. When they put someone in the cage from St. Charles MMA, I do believe that they are very ready. They are very confident in what they do. But you can very well tell what they're going to bring to the cage because they are very strict. I feel like not repetitive, but they're very set in their standards at that gym. And so I can kind of feel like I'm going to see what Curtis Smith is going to bring. I'm more interested in seeing what Dylan's going to bring towards an aggressive gym such as St. Charles MMA.
Well, and Dylan trains with John Rosner, who's the other part of the main event that night. It's out of Strategic BJJ. And like I said, St. Charles MMA. The funny thing is, St. Charles MMA does have striking. We all know that. But they're well known for their jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And so is Strategic BJJ. But you have them kickboxing. So that's always fun to kind of see how their striking is going.
Yes, and someone could be an amazing striker as they are performing in MMA, but it doesn't maybe always translate when you're going strictly to kickboxing, and that's going to be another little tough point. We might find some surprises where someone might gas out, someone might actually have better cardio when they're standing up. You don't know because when you're going up and down, that changes the entire game. So now we're talking about strictly striking. I always find these fights extremely exciting. So you have two people that have already been in the cage. They know where they're going, but they're going to try something out new, and striking is always going to be a firefight for sure.
Absolutely. And also, like you said, when you're doing that too, you may have good MMA striking, but maybe in the back of your head, you know, hey, I can take this down if I get hurt.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah.
That is gone.
Game plan changes.
Out of the question. That's right. St. Charles MMA, too, and you've already hit on it, Karen, but for as long as I can remember watching amateur to pro fights for, I'll just say, the better part of 15 years now, anytime St. Charles MMA people are there, you're kind of like, oh, hope the other guy's ready.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit before we went on the air. Yeah, I mean, you did actually.
It is, yeah.
100%.
And it's nice to know the gym where they're coming from because you know a lot of the gyms have distinct styles, and I could pick probably a fighter, like I don't have to know maybe so-and-so is from St. Charles MMA, but I could see their style, and I know they're maybe from a gym around here. I'm going to be like, that's St. Charles MMA, or it could be the Wolves Den, or so-and-so. Like I could kind of pick out their techniques, and I like that, but it also makes it easier sometimes if you kind of know that game plan that they're coming with.
Yeah, I think out of the gate, first two fights, even kickboxing MMA, what you can tell is great matchmaking, no easy fights in NFA, it looks like, to kick things off.
We don't want it. Nope.
And then I'm gonna gloss over a few of these other fights. We don't have a whole lot of information. Fight number 3 will be Aaron Ferguson versus Logan Jones. I do know Aaron Ferguson called out Logan Jones, and that's how that fight happened. So there's possibly a little bit of bad
We
blood
like
there.
those, though.
Yep. Zach Benkins out of Han MMA versus Alex Minner. That should be a good fight as well. And then, okay, just done today. So Derek Davis ended up with an injury and had to pull off. However, stepping up to take on Jake Kaiser, it's been moved to a kickboxing bout, though, is our 170-pound champion, Clark Stith.
Yes.
One of two, by the way. I want to point out we do have right now. Clark got hurt, so he never lost the belt. So I'm still calling him champion, but we do technically have two 170. Hopefully that'll get straightened out here in the future. But Clark Stith's going to step up. They're going to kickbox. So I'm very interested to see how Clark's known for his wrestling. So I'm interested to see how's that striking.
Now we have another one of those same things. So we're going away from the original game plan, especially when it's a last minute. Sometimes actually those turn out to be glorious fights because it's a lot more spontaneous of a fight. But yeah, we have someone that's prepared for one thing.
Yep.
Now they have the change in front of them. And guys, those are always the most interesting to me because then you really test your fighter to see how well are they acclimated and how well are they well prepared for such a change.
Absolutely. And Jake's always a hard-nosed fighter. Ray Norris is his coach. They come out strong. They're always ready to fight. So it should be hopefully fireworks.
Yeah.
So next we have Dylan Hogan versus Lamont Watson. Lamont Watson last fight was fight of the night last event.
Very nice.
Heavyweights, big boys, and
Those are the best.
it is. It was funny because I believe building up to that last fight, we were talking about how usually they're either fast or they tire out, and the last time those boys they banged. It was back and forth. And Lamont, if you ever see him, he looks like the kindest soul you'll ever meet, but he went in there and was dirty.
Yeah.
Dirty.
Love
And he'll be taking on Dylan Hogan out of Wolvesden, another well-established gym.
And
so hopefully another fight of the night heavyweight.
yeah, a lot of good groundwork. And you love it when you see, I love it when you see heavyweights, but I love it even more when I see heavyweights have cardio and they have that fast twitching. They can go fast, and it's just.
Why did you look over at me whenever you
I did
said
not
that?
look at you.
Kind of strange, but okay, Karen. If we want to push that way, okay.
Then we'll have Grant Knoll versus Ryan Ashley. Both little bits known about them, but not a whole lot. And then fight number 8. I'm sure you'll have something to say about this one.
He doesn't want me to, though.
He
I'm
doesn't-
sorry.
yeah. Rick Randolph versus Dan Harina is going to be a kickboxing fight. Karen and Dan had a little bit of chirping back and forth on social media, so
I threatened him. If he wanted to pull some tricky stuff happening, I'm going to say something, Dan. But I would never step in the cage with you. I'm really excited to see this fight. Dan is a well-loved fighter in the St. Louis community. Everyone knows that he's going to bring fireworks to such a show anytime he comes in. And like I said, when you talk about not heavyweights, but like bigger boys that are throwing, Dan is an aggressive one, and he's very well acclimated to that cage. We know what he's capable of, and I love it when he feels he can go all those rounds and he's thrown to the very end. That's an exciting fight, and we want to see that. So when we have, especially again kickboxing, we have the striking. You have a lot more heavier hitting, so we could possibly see a knockout with this one, and that's what we're always going to want. But this is going to set it up for sure for possibly, I think, maybe not fight of the night. Maybe we'll see.
Oh, is that your call?
I don't know. Maybe I love when Dan steps in the cage. So
That's
Going
fair.
out
That's
on a
fair.
limb. I like that.
And Chris, I mean, Rick's kind of an internet sensation himself.
Rick Randolph. is.
Yeah. He,
That's what
I
I like
am
to hear.
not aware of this. What is
Street Beefs.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's he do?
It's YouTube Street Beefs.
Well,
Street
fight of the
beefs.
night,
Yeah.
guys.
So I guess that'd be kind of like Kimbo Slice, the
Yeah,
late Kimbo
yeah.
Slice.
I
Yeah.
actually-
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
like that. I was thinking with the heavyweights, like if one knocks the other out, they win. They get to play first base for the Cardinals for like a couple games. So we're next to Busch Stadium.
I mean, they are pretty big boys, so
All
I
right.
mean, it's possible. Yeah.
Love it.
Now coming from Street Beefs into a cage.
It's different.
Has he? Okay, I apologize because this is a newer name to me. But so he's been in a cage.
Not to my knowledge, no.
So is this
Oh, this
one?
is his first.
No, this will be his first. I think he's trying to get that. Yeah. So like I said, he's like Kimbo, kind of like Kimbo did. He's trying to make.
So
This
he's
is me
not been in a
looking
cage.
around.
I don't want to call. I don't want to call
in
him.
front of 1,000 people.
So I don't want to call him like not legitimate, but he's a street fighter. So I think he's trying
It's
to get.
different.
he's trying to-
Untested.
yeah,
It's different.
untested. So he's trying to prove himself in the cage, and he's coming to us from Chicago. So
Woo!
bringing he has 500,000 views. I mean, so yeah, he's kind of he's a.
I want to know why.
He's
Come on, into the fire, man.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Good,
You're really
good on
You're
him.
showboating
Jeez.
him. I hope he's gonna live.
Well,
up.
but the best part is though, Dan himself is kind of a. I mean, he's
Yeah.
kind of an internet troll himself.
He is. I follow him for memes if you guys need something
Great,
good.
yeah.
Have
And sometimes he just pops off about he'll have a day.
He's
and
a
he'll
very
just pop off
random
about
guy,
it and
but-
tag random people and talk crap on them. Yeah.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, you don't have to have the character maybe to be in an amateur
It's nice,
fight
though.
scene, but it is nice to have a good character where you're like, this is an exciting person or a funny guy, and that makes you kind of build up your fan base a little bit better. The Street Beefs, though, I'm gonna totally go home and watch this.
Watch it.
It better be worth it.
All right, Rick. Karen's calling you out, saying you better be worth it. She might have a few things to say to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And then fight 9. So it's always fun when we have the ladies fight. We say this all the time. The ladies always come and bring it. Scrappy, technical, all around. They're always just an amazing show. And we're going to start off with Joy Connolly. Chris, you got anything on her?
Oh, yeah. Tons of notes on Joy Connolly. The extensive research I've done over the last decade. I will say that she probably made a huge splash in her FA debut, 13, winning in just 26 seconds of the first round. That's actually super impressive. Whatever weight, whatever level you're at, if you can win a fight that you've trained for probably for 3 months, and then the 10 years before that or 5 years before that in 26 seconds. What a rush, and then what a exciting way to get back in the cage. in NFL.
That classic saying, shot out of a cannon,
Yeah.
that was definitely, that's what happened. Very gamed opponent. She beat Julia Boyd. There was a little bit of controversy. Some thought it was an early stoppage, which is fair.
Sure.
But yeah, Joy came out and just put the leather on and didn't stop. I mean, it was like a pit bull.
Yeah.
Well, and that's exciting too. I see here she's got 2 teammates on the card, and then she's fighting her opponent, Sarah Terhar, out of Kentucky, making the trip
Yeah,
to make the walk to who knows what's going to happen. But if you hear you're fighting someone a state away that won their last fight in 26 seconds, that's going to be exhilarating itself.
And that happens a lot with the ladies. It's sometimes hard to match.
It's exhilarating, all
It's
right?
hard to match them up.
I don't know if I would say exhilarating. It's
You're not
definitely
excited
something,
if you
everyone.
did it with somebody
That's
that's
what I
just
was like,
bringing it.
Definitely.
Well, it's like since we're talking about the ladies, Karen.
Yeah, I spent some time in the cage with some ladies. I was that fireball coming out at one point, but I will say, so you have the day when I do think a lot of times that the female fighters will come out, and it's very apparent that they have a different technique at sometimes than the males do. I sometimes feel like the males can come out a little bit more technical. We'll see. The women sometimes are really hard to fight, so we don't know when they're so adrenaline up. Okay. Girls are
Feisty.
nasty. They are mean. They will throw whatever they can at you. If you got someone that really wants to be in there, and it sounds like Joy really wants to be in there, she had a lot of energy. Now we're coming into a second one, and that debut we're talking about, she only had 26 seconds. So we don't know how long that adrenaline push was going to go for her. She could have gassed out at the end of the round. It could have been great. I watched a little bit of that fight. I think she had it a little not easier, but I think she didn't have someone that was really brawling with her. And sometimes girls come out just brawling, and that changes your game up too. I personally find it better to fight more seasoned opponents because you have a chance and an opportunity to be more technical with them than a lot of times when the girls have, like, I think about under 5 fights. Now we're seeing haymakers and doing a lot of things that are just not something that you train for in sparring. So that 26 seconds is a great win on her part, but I definitely want to see what she can do this time around and see, maybe let's go. It's not always great to just finish so quickly. Sometimes it helps you in your career to go a little bit longer.
I agree.
The Sarah girl is coming out of a different territory, so that also changes the game because you don't have your fan base out cheering you on. I personally love being booed, so maybe she'll get a rush out of it. But I think
I'll
this
keep
is going
that
to
in
be
mind.
really.
We're learning more and more as it goes
love
through.
I'll keep that in mind.
Control.
I love waving to the other fan base. But I really think, again, this is one of those times where even though guys, they're not super seasoned, they have under 5 fights each. So we're talking about people that are just unpredictable, but they're also growing, and I think this is going to be an interesting fight. Whether or not they've been in the cage once, 2 times, 3 times, it's going to be an interesting one, and see who wants it more.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'd like to see more out of Joy. You know, we didn't get to see a whole lot out of her. For that first debut fight, she was begging me for a fight. That's how bad she wanted
That's
to fight.
great, yeah.
And she came
I
out
love
and
that
showed
stuff.
she wanted to fight. Sarah does have, like you said, more experience, so Sarah needs to probably use that and try
Yeah.
to, I would say, take Joy to the deep rounds to see if she can even do that.
Yeah, I think everything's always in the air when you're with a fighter that's under 5. I think after 5 we can kind of figure out, maybe get an idea of what's to expect out of a fighter. But when we're in that early stage of training a fighter to go in there, you don't know when how they're going to react to a loss, how they're going to react to longer rounds, how they're going to react to an injury or a different, more adverse fight. So yeah, it's always a good time.
I'm curious, too. You just brought it up, and we haven't gotten a whole lot of know and tell. So we're all just jumping in on this. It's a pre-show for NFA. By the way, thank you. Let's get this. Shameless plugs. Thank you to the Marines, Unrivaled Realty, Impact, Prime Health Centers, Wesley Rogers Steak and Buffet, Gillies, Groundwork LLC, Sub-Zero Wellness, HKA USA, all making this possible tonight. All right, Lance, you brought up something that I find super interesting. Matchmaker.
Yes.
People tuning in may know, I didn't know prior to about 30 minutes ago, you're the matchmaker for these, right?
Rumor has it.
Surprise.
Rumor has it.
Yes.
All right, Karen, have you heard this rumor?
I don't know. I've heard some other things too.
All right, I'm going right to the source. I'm going
That's
to the
probably
source.
true too.
Lance, all right, becoming a matchmaker at this level, big show. You all have been here before, but you're going to come in, you're going to pack the house again. Making these, pulling these in together from all these gyms. You may have trained with some of these people. You've trained with their coaches, different things like that. What's the most difficult part of putting this entire card together?
Just making sure it's fair. There's a
great-
lot of matchmakers
great
out
answer.
there. I'm not going to say any names because I don't want the bad blood. But there are a lot of matchmakers out there that do not put on fair fights. And I always want to do my best to make fair fights. I talk to the coaches. I'm honest with them. I've been in contact with Karen for a few fights too. I try to be as upfront as I can be.
I tell them no.
Actually, honestly, every time I've talked to her, she has told me no. But
Karen's like, what's their follower on Instagram?
maybe I'm too honest. No.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's
no,
an
it's-
important thing. It's a very
Yeah, I just want exciting fights, but it is hard sometimes because it's hard to get people that are good to fight other people that are good. unless you have a belt or unless
Yep.
you have something on the line.
Yes, and I think St. Louis needs to step outside the rim a little bit and take on some heat that's from around the country, because there is a lot of talent happening right now, and it's coming in numbers that we've never experienced before. So I think the tougher the fights, the better it is. Not outmatched, tough fights, not 10 versus a person that's a debut, but a tough match where they're equal. They're going to bring a challenge of a different sort, maybe every time, and that can only benefit the player. I can't stress it enough too.
Absolutely.
If I have a person looking for a fight, say I got a fight from you, and I'm like, look, this is the match, and I could tell them it's really outmatched, and they're gonna be like, oh, I'll take it, but they don't understand. There's a lot of reasoning as far as how we come up with these matches, and when you have a good match in front of you, it really shines, I think, throughout the night to have a good matchmaker.
And I do want to clear. We were joking. I mean, I have talked to Karen about matchmaking, but her fighters were injured. That's why. She wasn't hiding from
And I only
everybody.
have a few.
Yeah, she only has a few.
Yeah, we have a small gym.
Well, that's why when you hear like somebody coming from Kentucky, Chicago, that's why. Because sometimes it's hard to get local people to fight each other.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes we gotta go outside the boat. And actually, it's a good segue because our next fight, 2 undefeated fighters. Someone's always got to go. So we got Devin Bird versus
hard one to
Malachi
take.
Mitchell. Yeah, both great fighters. What do you got on Devin?
Devin, obviously, huge 3 wins with first-round stoppages. And then also with Malachi Mitchell, I saw, is it Johannes Flager?
Johannes Flager. yes.
Okay, I've seen that name for forever on the local scene. on the
Flager
program.
Fighting Systems right now is killing it.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they're taking a lot of amateur titles right now.
That's really
Yeah.
cool to see because, again, you're getting to the point where it's like a legacy, right? It's been around for a
Absolutely,
while.
yeah.
Watched him fight all those years, and now he has these guys here. So I didn't even check to see. What weight are we at for this one?
So this one should be. Oh, he's calling me out.
Oh, lightweight. No.
Lightweight,
It's a
yep.
lightweight.
I was like,
3
I should know
rounds
that.
at lightweight. You have this, and you're pushing towards the main event to end out the night. At this point in the card, everybody's having a blast. Maybe there's been a few knockouts and everything. With these 2 types of fighters that come in with the records that they have and the explosiveness that you're saying, 2 knockouts, or 3, I'm sorry, from the last 3 fights, I think this is going to be maybe my pick for fight of the night. Just
Well-
judging off a lightweight fight that deep in the card.
I have a
Okay.
couple of things on that. So we have, so they're 3-0, and I'm not sure what Malachi is.
I believe he's 2-0.
So do we know, has Bird always been in with Nemesis as far as fighting? Did he have all those wins?
No.
Do we know? Okay, so it could have been outside at a different show. Okay, so when you have an undefeated fighter, and we have 2 of them here, now you're looking at what we're just talking about with good matchmaking, because you don't know what their matchmaking was before.
Right.
And they could have had a stoppage on people that were maybe unevenly matched or perfectly matched. So that's always into play. I do like that they're coming out of the Wolves' End, so we know that they got some groundwork here too. But you have also Malachi who's coming out of Johannes Flager, and I see him that coach brings out a lot of their fighters in the community. They're always very aggressive. They have great striking. I think Wolves' Den, I could be really wrong about this, and I'm sorry if I'm speaking on things that maybe I'm not fully aware of, but I think Malachi might have. Do we know anything about his groundwork? Because I feel like Devin's going to have the upper hand on the ground, possibly, if it's coming from Johannes as far as what I've seen from the other fighters.
Johannes is a very good ground guy, but Mop, Andrew
Yeah.
Ebbers, Mop Jiu-Jitsu, he is a black belt.
Yes.
So I would say probably Malachi could be the more rounded, but
More well-rounded.
yeah, but I would say coming out of the Wolves' Den that Devin might have an edge in the ground. But that's hard either way. I could be
See, that's
completely
what-
wrong on that too. Yeah,
that's
so
what I'm like. As far as some of the fighters that I've seen, Johannes, I didn't know of how heavy they were into the groundwork.
they've been good. So they've been good on the ground. It's a lot more ground. It's a lot more nasty, kind of almost catch wrestling. So a lot more like ground and pound
Yeah,
and pushing the pace. Which, as we know, though, if depending on the type of jiu-jitsu, you get hit, it kind of takes away from you as well too. So. But yeah, this is So I mean, I do think if you're going off for prestige, Mop is the black belt, so you would want to weigh in probably more on Devin being the one with the better ground game. But
You never know.
I wouldn't bet on that. So.
Yeah. Again, this could be a really well-matched one.
And if this fight, honestly, 2-0 and 3-0, if this fight goes really well and somebody's really impressive, that's a step to a title fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
They have that chance.
You pat yourself on the back for that one.
Thank you.
I think you should.
Speaking of title fights,
There we go again.
the next one is for a title, 155.
It's a great weight.
We have our 145-pound champion, Ray Hayes, stepping up to take on Aaron Lake, who I don't think gets enough credit. Aaron Lake, he's a 500 fighter, but he is tough and hard-nosed, and he's had some hard fights. So I'm actually really excited to see this, especially with Ray stepping up in a weight class, because he's been dominating 145. He really has.
So he's stepping up in a
argument.
weight class, and he's fighting a guy who's tall and lanky for the class, who
Exactly.
you said is also tougher than his record says.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Hey, matchmaker, nice work.
Thank you. But so yeah, so that's Aaron. Well, we talked about it, and Aaron's out of Wolfsden.
Yep.
So
So,
that's-
they have the groundwork.
Mhm.
Again, here we have, so Ray, as far as the notes core, I know Isaac Dancy. Ray took down Isaac Dancy.
Quick too. That actually I called that as fire of the night, and I was really shocked how
Quick it was.
quick that was. I was upset and shocked. so
So,
not upset that Ray won. I was upset how fast. I thought that was going to be a barn burner, and it
with
wasn't.
a lot of people, Isaac Dancy has been blowing up around the scene too. He's
Very
been
good.
taking a lot of fights. He's been really active. He actually, I think, sparred or took on a couple of my guys. I think he won, and he's a great fighter. He's a great striker. So now we're talking about Ray, who took him out by submission.
Climbed him like a tree.
yes,
it was
yes,
almost
yes.
like a Rocket and Groot.
And he could be really great at that, but that weight change is definitely also going to change
Mhm.
the factors of the game. I don't think people realize how difference maybe 10 pounds can make when you're performing at such a high speed, high endurance level at that. It will change how they strike, how their cardio endurance goes. As far as like technicality, I don't think it won't be that big of a difference. But Aaron Lake, I feel he has a groundwork. They're both on. I don't know.
It could be a hard
Ooh.
one. I mean, if you're going off of paper, you have to lean probably Ray Hayes, but Aaron Lake, who's convenient. So I was thinking about this earlier, and I was like, man, he's kind of a dark horse in this fight. That's actually his nickname, and I didn't realize that.
Oh,
Right?
I wrote that.
my goodness.
I wrote that in my notes, and then I looked up as I do. I was looking up Tapology, and it had Dark Horse, Aaron Dark Horse Lake on there, and I was like, that's actually perfect because he could be the dark horse in this. Like I said on paper, Ray Hayes has this,
It could play off really
but
well
it could
to do that.
and that's a great way for Aaron to reset his career in the right direction too.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be great for both fighters.
I agree 100%.
You see this catch weight we have for what is this, kickboxing co-main?
Yes.
What do you think of this?
Bro.
So I got to be honest, I love both these guys personally, and I've been trying to get Chris Petty in the right weight class. He's been fighting out of his weight class, and I've been trying to get him in the right weight class. I finally get the opportunity. Unfortunately, it gets someone else I also really like, Court Wall. It's not going to be MMA though. They're both going to make their pro kickboxing debut.
That's exciting. I'm looking at Chris Petty's resume too. He's fought Dakota Bush, Luis
Yeah.
Pena,
Yep.
former UFC
Yep.
fighter. You have Colin Parr,
Yeah.
Andrew Ebers, knockout power.
Jiu-jitsu.
This looks really exciting. And professional debut. That puts it more on the line.
Yeah.
They're going to be really
So
excited.
it won't be their professional debut.
Okay.
They both
gotcha.
have fought in MMA a lot. Actually, they've both had. Well, I know Court's had 10. I believe Chris has had more.
Kickboxing. Yeah.
Oh no, in MMA.
MMA,
This will
sorry.
be the kickboxing debut, the
Right.
pro kickboxing debut. Court, I've been trying to get him back on the show. He had an amazing knockout on one of our pay-per-views, and since I do like him a lot, I've been trying to get him on the show, and he reached out.
Stop fanning.
I am. And he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I want to make my pro kickboxing debut." Originally, I was like, as we've talked about, I'm not a big kickboxing guy.
I don't know why.
I know. I just never have been. So I was like, oh,
The
okay,
foot to
I'll
the
think
face
about it.
is-
And as I thought about it, I was like, no, I really do want him on here. And then Chris had another fight somewhere else. It fell through. So he came available. I talked to Chris. Chris was training for a kickboxing fight on the other one to make his debut too. And I was like, well, why don't they just go at it? And they both agreed. And I'm really excited for this. I honestly don't know how it's going to go.
I'm always for kickboxing. Always. I mean, I love MMA, but I like kickboxing. Like I said, it's more exciting. So I know I said something about Dan Harina being fight of the night. I think this one could be another one.
Could be.
Because we're talking about striking, nonstop striking. And
And
you
pro
got to
striking.
take those kicks and take
Yeah.
those hits. You better have a strong chin. And that's pretty much. I mean, I'd be surprised if they both go to the third, to the very end.
That's true. Yeah, they both have knockout power. So
I was gonna say, I'm not sure.
I feel like if it does go to the very end, I feel like we'll be the winners.
Yes, everyone will be a winner. Do we know that? I'm sorry. Do we know the height difference?
I
Which
don't.
plays a
If
great
I go
part.
off of standing next to them, I think Court's a little taller.
So it's not a huge
I don't think
difference
it's
of
huge.
reach.
I don't believe so. I'm like I said, I'm have to go off the memory of standing next to him. 'Cause again, I like both guys. I talk to them all the time, but I'm not sure. But I think Court's a little taller. I do believe.
If you're dropping that much action into a kickboxing fight, in a co-main, I guess, I don't know what we're calling this exactly.
This would be
but
the co-main.
This is a co-main. So, number one, this helps matchmaker. I'm kind of team Lance, too, because I'm like, let's watch it. But like you said, St. Louis fighters, they're spread out. This is a huge event, but people get hurt. Different schools don't go to different places. This, that, that. This helps the matchmaker break it up. And to be honest, you're going to have some new fans in the crowd. And who doesn't like to look up and see somebody getting kicked in the head? So kickboxing, it's a nice change of pace. It really is, and I think that's exciting that you've dropped in 2 seasoned pros, albeit from other style. But either way, that's a great matchup.
And in my earlier talks with Chris, he's like, I'm tired of taking last minute fights. I'm tired of being out of my weight class. And though this is a last minute fight, at least he was training for another pro kickboxing fight. So it's not like he's just coming in with a couple weeks notice.
Yeah.
And he's fighting somebody in his white. This is going to be a catch weight because it is last minute, so it's 150, so 145. But they're both 145ers, so he's fighting somebody in his weight class finally.
That's exciting.
Yes, so I'm excited to see what Chris can do and where he belongs.
Yeah, and it doesn't take too much in a kickboxing match to knock him out. That is knockout weight. They can do that.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes a little tap on that chin and a nice little kick to the face, and that's all you need. So I would definitely say don't look away from this fight.
Bring some reality into the room.
Yeah.
Right.
Humble yourselves.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
This.
And then here we go, the main event: John Rosner versus Jason Powell. Chris, what you got on John?
I was here. I'm so excited to be joining for the first time for this NFA broadcast. I've heard you all bring up Jason Powell and John Rosner several different times. So check this out. If you're like me, you haven't been as mixed in as the matchmaker, and then as Karen, who's been on the scene as well. But check this out. I do know this, and I'm really excited. One is pro debut, so John Rosner, one is pro debut. September looks improved to 2-0. This is a big deal. Strategic BJJ and Alton, but that's a Kyle Watson affiliate. Obviously, everybody in St. Louis, not everybody, but Kyle's
he's a big name locally.
He is.
And you could actually, you can call it nationally too, but he's definitely a big name locally.
You get lightweights from the Ultimate Fighter whenever St. Pierre was coaching, and even just locally. I don't know about you all. I just like Kyle Watson, and anytime I can give that guy a hug or see him around, that's exciting. So if you have someone that trained with him, I assume he's got similar discipline and approach to fighting and jiu-jitsu.
Well, if you want to talk about local rivalry in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Honey Badger is an affiliate of SCMMA, which is an affiliate of Vagi.
Oh, yeah.
So you have Rodrigo Vagi's lineage,
and
so you got a little
I knew
bit
the
of,
Vagi,
yeah. So
but I didn't know the Honey Badger.
Look at
yeah, so
this.
Honey Badger,
and that's
Powell,
Jason Powell's.
So Jason Powell is the head instructor at Honey Badger. It's his gym, but he's a SCMMA fighter.
Yes.
I would still call him that because obviously when you're coaching your own gym, you have to go somewhere else to get that work in.
Now, John, this is where I need to do a lot of more research before we get to our fights, which we'll be talking about more technical stuff when we get there. But John, so how did he win his fights as pro so far? Do we know if there are subs or if they're going to decision?
I actually don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going to make
dive in
a
on
very,
some research,
I guess not aggressive. I'm just going to make an assumption, and that I will say I'm going to see this fight go to the ground. It's going to stay on the ground because I feel like Jason's probably going to maybe outstrike.
Jason has some nasty Muay Thai.
Jason, I think, is going to have the striking, and John's going to want to bring it to the ground and keep it there. And then you never know where it's going to go when we get there.
Jason's also a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too, but
so,
he does like the bang.
He's good, well-rounded.
Professional
but
opinion.
I think John's going to want to keep this one on the ground.
Absolutely. Karen, do we see this turning into the Ben Askren, Damian Maia, low-level kickboxing because they're both so good on the ground? And that's not even no shade. Do you think that could happen where both guys want to show off their hands a little bit?
I think that would be great. And I think so. Like I said, I could be stepping in places where I just am not well versed yet, and I will find out a little bit more come the fights on Saturday. But I think that's where we'll see maybe Powell shine a little bit more, and that's where we might see Rosner bring it down. Hopefully, it's just really unpredictable, and that's what we want.
The important thing too is they both coach. So that hopefully
they're in their own game plans.
I was going to say that hopefully did they do enough focus on themselves? That's always a question when you have coaches.
And it's pressure too when you have your fighters watching you perform and you are the standard for them.
And you're main eventing the Bally Sports Live.
I don't want it.
In Ballpark Village.
You got the arch in the background. Your family's looking on.
No pressure, guys.
Your students, everything.
You're going to do great.
Absolutely.
100%. No, I expect it to be an amazing fight. I expect all of them to be amazing fights.
The whole card. Yeah.
So I think so hopefully we have a fun night.
Whoever put this card together did a great job because I'm excited about it.
Knock it off.
It is. Great. Shout out to the production crew too. If you're tuning in for the actual pay-per-view, there's all kinds of amenities here at Ballpark Village that you're going to see, and you're going to see them take advantage of. I've worked with these guys before. Obviously, you have as well. There's so many fun aspects to this. Whenever they told me, hey, it's a Ballpark Village, I get to hang out with a couple of seasoned pros like yourselves. And then all of the extra add-ons for the fans watching at home. And man, I'm sorry, if this is your first professional fight and you get to go back and watch all these different angles and everything that are similar to a super high-level card, that is so exciting and it's meaningful because some of these fighters, they may have 10 fights, they may have 15. This may be one of 3 fights for them. You never know.
And I love this dynamic because I got my kickboxing expert over here and I got my super fan over here.
Big time. So absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect match.
I'm going to want to get in there myself. Watch out. Open the cage for me.
Well, don't hit me too hard if you get too excited, okay? I'm retired for a reason. I don't want to get hit again.
I think it's going to be a great event and everyone should definitely come out, check out the scene. Ballpark Village is going to be fun. It's always a good time downtown. There's secured parking to come and enjoy yourself here. Lots of events. So come down and spend the day with us.
Tickets are still on sale. We still got tickets available. And if you can't make it,
share them out there too.
Yeah, we'll be on pay-per-view. You get to hear us talk.
Yes.
Wow.
So, but
fighters need you guys to come out here and support.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
If we don't have shows like this, then they don't have experience and they cannot grow. And the Midwest has a lot of super talent, and we've seen that with a lot of them going to the UFC and further on in other pros. I think it's really, really important that you guys come out, and even if you just know one fighter or not all the fighters, like it's great to see who's coming in the scene and just get your toes wet in them.
Especially in a venue like this too.
Yes.
You want them to keep coming into big venues. And in order to keep them coming to big venues, you got to sell tickets.
Yeah, it brings enthusiasm.
It is a business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing just a couple of people that randomly stumble upon this. They happen to be in town for the night or something, and then you come in and you see this huge production going on. You see people out there battling it, putting it on the line. What a night! I'm excited.
And I tell you this, when you walk into, if you've ever been to Ballpark Village, first of all, it's beautiful. But when you walk in and see a big cage in the middle of it, it's something else, I'll tell you that much. So.
Yeah, as if there's not enough already coming on here. It's going to be awesome. And the guys are going to put on a show for everyone. I can't.
Absolutely.
Why would you not want to just see some striking and some great groundwork and some knockouts? Who doesn't want to see that?
And we do have a nice mix of MMA and kickboxing this go around.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. Sometimes people want that kickboxing match on there, and you have several on here. So, and you have a girls' fight, and girls love to come and check out, especially the people that train in the scene.
And they're always good.
They're always spying on you. I don't know. It's weird.
Always good. So it's this Saturday. Weigh-ins will be Friday. This Saturday, the fights still have tickets available. We'll be live on pay-per-view if you can't make it. Nemesis 14, we'll see you there.